Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PFK The Show Legends League End of Spring Training Stat Summary. We're going to be going through every team and having a look at exactly how your players did over the course of the spring. This is your last chance to look at these stats. That's why I wanted to get it up in video form so that you guys can come back and look at this stuff whenever you want. We're going to split it up into an AL and an NL video so that it's easy for people to come back and view it later and not have to trudge through a giant video where we've got all 18 teams. So we'll just do the AL here, then we'll take the stream down, and then we'll come back with the NL. I'm going to be sorted by at-bats. So the people at the bottom of the list just have received the fewest at-bats. You'll see that David Justice for the Orioles only got 22 at-bats, whereas Dustin Pedroia got 87 trips to the plate. If anybody's curious about why things happen in the order they happen, I just tend to do things in the order that they are laid out in MLB The Show because it's easiest for me to keep track of stuff. You know, start at the Orioles, do something until you get back to the Orioles, right? And for me now, I just have it kind of committed to memory that the Giants and Orioles are where the NL turns over to the AL, and the Astros and the Braves are on the other side there. So if you're wondering why we always start with the same teams, that's why. It's not me playing favorites. It's just because easier for my brain organization. Cool, so here we go. We are looking at the Orioles. I'm going to try not to say a whole lot in this one, maybe point out just some interesting things like, hey, Rafael Palmeiro led the team with 8 home runs and drove in 17 runs. And then I'll try to point out things like, wow, Yadier Molina only collected 12 hits in his 81 at-bats. Not that we're not going to see that from his batting average, but I'm not going to try to overanalyze here. This is really more just for you all to be able to look at how your team did and then make some decisions on your own. Pete Rose led the team with 8 steals. Let's have a look at the rates for the top at-bat getters. 21 Ks for Yachty to go along with his poor batting average isn't exactly encouraging. And some final auxiliary statistics here. And then since this is the last chance to see them, we'll go back down here and look at the guys who didn't get so many at-bats because we want to see everybody here. Another caveat that everybody should keep in mind while looking at this stuff, not everybody played the same number of spring games. It's very frustrating, but I think this is, I'm pretty sure these were the real-life schedules. And I think like the Angels ended up playing, or was it the Dodgers? One of the 2 LA teams played, I think, 5 more games than the other, 4 or 5 more games. So when you're comparing power numbers, don't compare them against other people on a pure quantitative basis. Look at these things in terms of rates. Look at how many at-bats you're actually getting, and look at the batting average, OPS, slugging percentage, that kind of stuff. The pitching staff for the Baltimore Orioles, again sorted by innings pitched. Here we go. Remember that if you want to look at this stuff deeper and have a longer look at it, I try to hover on each screen for at least 3 seconds minimum so that you guys can be sure to take screenshots. Whether you're on your phone or on a computer, if you're able to just grab a quick screenshot, you can look at it till the end of time. All right, going down and looking at the people who didn't pitch so much, including Mariano Rivera only getting 8.2 innings pitched in all of spring. He did record 5 saves. Sorry, I blew past that pretty fast. Three blown saves for Tommy John is worth mentioning. I don't think holds are particularly worth mentioning at all. And I think anybody who's listened to a bunch of these knows my position on the hold stat at this point. Don't care about the Red Sox. We don't care about the Yankees. We care about the Tampa Bay Rays. Here we go. 90 at-bats. Roberto Alomar led the team by quite a bit. Paul O'Neill swatted 6 home runs. Only drove in 9 RBI, though. So he only drove in 3 base runners that weren't himself. Worth noting, he did score 14 times. Jim Thome only hitting 192, Posey only hitting 208. Those are surprises. I don't think that is sustainable. I imagine they both really turn it around. 14 walks for Ted Simmons is pretty fun. And 11 for Jim Edmonds. What's his OPS? Jim Edmonds OPSing over 1,000. Get out of here. 9 doubles for Jimmy. That'll help a bit with the slugging. Okay, going back and looking at those who didn't get as many at-bats, which would include Hanley Ramirez and Ben Zobrist and George Foster. 5 home runs for Foster in 35 at-bats. Excuse me? By comparison, Paul O'Neill swatted 6 in 77 at-bats. That's pretty great. Foster's triple slash was 343, 410, 771. So Edmonds isn't the only guy OPSing over 1,000 on this squad. He did strike out 12 times in his limited at-bats, however. The pitching for the Rays. 4 wins for Corbin. He really was strong this spring. Greg Maddux led the team in innings by 9 1/3. 32 Ks for Chris Sale in 26 innings is fun. Some pretty stellar whip numbers here for the Rays. Hey, good to have you here. 17 walks from John Lester through 19 innings pitched. It's a little worrisome. Bedrosian struck out 22 in 18, however. Keuchel surprisingly strong. I don't think that carries over into the regular season, personally. Really no blown saves on this team. Only 4 all spring. That's fantastic. The Blue Jays. Let's have a look at their pitching first. Why not? They got great pitching. Tom Seaver did not factor into a decision in the spring. That just seems an oddity more than anything. Yeah, Clemens and Seaver pretty stellar. Palmer and Morris all right. Beckett a little bit disappointing. I really wonder what we'll be thinking about a 5 ERA after March, when a lot of pitchers probably have something way north of there. Okay, looking at the relievers here. Papelbon had 9 saves in 13 innings of work. He struck out 18, 5.54 ERA, so it's the Papelbon roller coaster. He did blow 3 saves. Sorry, I kind of sped through that last page here. Mike Stanton 1.96 ERA. That's pretty stellar. 1.09 WHIP to go with it. Does this calculate? I think this calculates FIP too. I wonder if that's anywhere here. Yeah, there's a lot more fun stuff over here too. But that would take me forever to go through. We will look at a lot of this more advanced metric stuff once we have bigger sample sizes in season, like maybe once we've played 2 full months, then we'll actually start coming this deep into stats. Yep, just a little preview there. Cool, position players for the Blue Jays. 13 home runs from Johnny Mize. I imagine that's our spring champion. He did get 99 at-bats, however. Not to minimize the impact of 13 home runs in a month. Yeah, a couple thousand OPSs here from Johnny Mize and Fred McGriff. Jackie Robinson knocking on the door as well. Thurman Munson with his OPS at 858. Blue Jays looking like a real contender at the end of spring. Mize also drew 16 walks. Bregman drew 17 walks too. And back to the bottom of this list here. Luis Aparicio only got 6 at-bats. Vernon Wells only got 16, so it looks like the starters are are playing their full at bats for the most part on this squad. I did not see the 8 steals for Jackie Robinson. That's exciting. Aparicio and Wells, neither of them collected a hit, probably because they didn't get a chance to get going. Harold Reynolds only hit a 130 in his limited at-bats as well. Interesting. I wonder if this team is going to need to get its bench going a little bit. But when your starters are raking like they are, I mean, how can you? At-bats, that's what we want to sort by. Chicago White Sox. I love this Freeman-Beltre corner infield pairing. That's really fun. Trout and Jimmy Fox putting up 7 home runs. Trout driving in 18. That's fantastic clutch hitting from him all spring, even though he's been sharing leadoff duties. He also steals 5 bases. Yeah, he might be set up in this roster's strategy to really succeed and be that dynamic Trout that we saw a couple years ago. Ernie Banks hit 323. Jimmy Fox hit 310. 1 OPS over 1,000. Freddie did strike out 28 times, but he did have 100 at-bats. Hideki Matsui only came up to the plate 4 times. That's really too bad. One home run for Maglio Ordonez. I need to get my new capture card set up so I can actually be playing some music while I'm doing this. 14 walks for Jimmy Fox is just awesome to the 10 strikeouts. That's very impressive. Then contrast that against Mike Trout, who had 9 walks and 25 Ks. It's contrasting styles. It's very cool. We didn't see the pitchers for the White Sox. That's important. Pitching's very important. Kevin Brown and Steve Carlton each collecting 4 wins. Though Kevin Brown's 4 wins do come with a 5.32 ERA. Gaylord Perry, a surprising 7.06 ERA. I do not expect him to keep that going. Perry, 16 strikeouts to 14 walks. Not what you want to see. Weird, Kevin Brown and Gaylord Perry only got into 6 games. What? Huh. Confusing metrics from the White Sox here. Sorry about the dizzying flying back and forth on the screen here. My bad. A few blown saves down there by Righetti, Cicotti, Suter, and Nola. And the guys who didn't pitch a bunch. Gagne had 7 saves in 9.2 innings. Struck out 10, walked 5. Brad Hand and Bruce Suter have really good rate stats as well. And Tim Hudson. Yeah, interesting. That's right. We were just looking at what a promising bullpen the White Sox were throwing out there. Yeah, look at those whips. 0.76 from Hudson, 0.78 from Suter, 167 from Nola, 148. Oh no, I guess those are bad for whips. But having those guys in the middle innings that can bridge to Gagne and keep runners off base, that's really valuable. On to the Indians. We'll start with their pitching. Oh, why don't we start with their lower guys first? We're already down here. Joe Nathan got 11 saves on the spring. Cool. That's what happens when your team gives you the chance and you're the freaking man. CC Sabathia walked 14 and struck out 34, so he's going to be an exciting pitcher to watch. He only had 28 innings. Betances boom or bust as expected. 21 strikeouts to 8 walks for him, but an 11.77 ERA and 2.31 makes you wonder if he does end up worth it or not, especially when you never know how the AI is actually going to use him. Rob Dibble, that's disappointing from Dibble. You expect him to turn an 8.03 ERA around. And here's the top innings pitch guys for the Indians. 4 wins for Oswalt. Schilling at a 2.17 ERA. Wilbur Wood 8.04. And Brian Harvey a 6.77. On to the hitters for Cleveland. How did Rogers Hornsby get 128 at bats? Get out of here. So clearly the Indians were one of the teams that played more games, because this is a lot of power numbers. 9 home runs for Hornsby, 8 for Delahanty, 6 for Wright, 6 for Giambi, 8 for Hamilton, 5 for Robinson, 9 for Gibson, 5 for Collins. That's a whole lot of stats. But you have 4 guys who got over 100 at bats, whereas you had Freddie Freeman, who I believe is on the Rays, right? Don't want to get that wrong. No, he's on the White Sox. So on the White Sox, they only had 1 guy get 100 at bats, and then over here the Indians have 4 guys over 100. So again, take a lot of this with a grain of salt. Be really looking at number per at bat. Get out your calculator and the mustard, Grandma. It's a grand salami time. Thank you, Dave Niehaus. Rest in peace. Ed Delahanty hit 321. Love to see him performing. Jason Giambi hit 381. OPS 1050. He was another guy who fell pretty late that is really performing. Josh Gibson, 1233 OPS. Not bad from your catcher. Not bad for a catcher. 3 triples for Omar. Okay, and the bench guys. Mike Cameron, really strong spring, 360, 407, 540. Josh Gibson walked 16 times and struck out 11 times. Wow. What a performance. Okay, yeah, we saw the pitchers for this team. Cool, on to the Tigers pitching staff. Strasburg went 5-0. Fernandez went 4-1. So these starters are practicing their winning ways early. Valenzuela led the way with 12 walks. Well, I guess that's not leading the way, but he also struck out 27 in 24 innings, and his ERA stayed at 4.01. So clearly he's excelling with runners on base. Steven Strasburg with that 1.67 ERA and 1.19 WHIP, pitching like an ace, even though he's the 3 on this team. One of the reasons why the Tigers are so scary. Yeah, I think it's this rotation that really alerted me to this roster maybe being my early favorite, like I was talking about during the previews. Still haven't finished my my projections. I'm not doing like projections, but haven't finished doing my rankings for all these teams actually going into the regular season. I definitely have some differing opinions than I did back when I started looking at these rosters, and that'll be coming at you tomorrow. The guys with the fewest innings pitched, like Trevor Hoffman and Zach Britton down here. Britton not looking great, 8.59 ERA and 7 1/3 innings. Hoffman, though, is crushing it. 8 Ks, 2 walks in 12 2/3, 1.42 ERA, WHIP under 1. Bobby Jenks, too. Holy crap. 15 innings of dominance for Bobby Jenks. Osuna collected 2 blown saves. Not enough to read into there, too small of a sample size. And the position players for the Tigers, it's totally possible that I end up missing, like, you know, the hitters for one team or pitchers for one team or whatever. If I do, please just give me a holler and I will absolutely jump back on and show you your stats. Make sure you do that quick, though, because, like I said, this is our last chance before we advance this thing into the regular season. 8 homers for Mickey Mantle, 8 for Cano. Cool. Didn't expect Cano to be stride for stride with the Mick. Joey Votto hitting 330. On-base percentage just a shade under 400. JD Martinez, his on-base is over 400, as is Eddie Matthews. 3 guys OPSing over 1,000 on this squad. Mickey Mantle, JD Martinez, and Eddie Matthews are the 3. Jose Canseco striking out all the time. 34 strikeouts in his 99 at-bats. That's a full-on 33% strikeout rate. But he's the big dummy, so what do you expect, you know? Down here at the bottom, the weapon Trey Turner only had 1 steal this spring because he wasn't exactly getting on base. Jason Varitek was productive out of his backup role. Robinson Cano walking as much as he strikes out. Very encouraging peripheral stat. Eddie Matthews, on the other hand, striking out 4 times for every time he draws a free pass. What's he hitting, though? He's hitting 364. You don't care for a second, at least I don't. Okie dokie. I just want to make sure we got everybody. So we got those 2, we got those. Yeah, we saw Gaylord Perry, right? Sorry, just wanting to go back and make sure I didn't leave everybody out in the cold here, because that would be rough. We saw them. Cool. Moving on to the AL West, the final team before we take this stream down and bring it back up immediately with the NL. Just trying to make it easy viewing for you all. Here are the offensive players sorted by highest number of at-bats for the Los Angeles Angels. Nobody on this team eclipsing 100 at-bats. 90 is the highest, and it was Chase Utley. Pete Hill, who is on fire. So is Mookie Betts coming out of the spring. He had 89 at-bats. A lot of guys contributing a little bit of power, though, again, if there were some 100 at-bat totals there, I wonder if those numbers would be higher. Pete Hill finishes 360, 424, 584, 1,009 OPS. Mookie Betts, OPS 1349. He hit 438, on base at 500 clip. Holy crap. 6 steals for Dale Murphy. That doesn't make any sense. 70 speed, 60 stealing, 70 base running aggressiveness. Yeah, 6 steals. Perfect. In 82 at-bats. Okay. Mookie walking 9 times and striking out 10 times. Wade Boggs, 10 and 10. Dale Murphy walked 18 and struck out 14. This team is amazing at limiting the strikeout. That is a really, really fun ability and a thing to put a flag in for this season. Chase Utley, 9 walks to 13 strikeouts. Mike Piazza, 8 walks to 13 strikeouts. It's almost like this was an intentional strategy or something, especially because Ted Williams is especially one of those guys, right? 11 walks and 14 strikeouts for him. If you're a strikeout-heavy pitching staff, good luck with the Angels. Man, that's really cool. And here's the bench players for the Angels. Matt Kemp ended up hitting 419 and OPSing 1,034, though only in a 31 at-bat sample. But that does prove that he may be worthy of a closer look. Benito Santiago, the opposite of what I was talking about, 12 strikeouts and no walks. Damian Easley added 4 strikeouts and also no walks. The pitchers for the Halos. Cy Young led the team by almost 7 innings because of that maxed out stamina stat. Max Scherzer, the other horse, going long. No other starter really caught that much work this spring. 4 saves for Sean Doolittle in 21 innings of work. That's fascinating. Wonder how that ended up happening. Cy Young, 3.34 ERA in all that work is really encouraging. Only 10 walks and 24 strikeouts. Max Scherzer's 5.02 ERA might be a little bit more worrisome if it weren't for an incredible 1.12 whip to go along with it. 30 strikeouts and 7 walks in his 28 and 2/3 innings. It's just the Mad Max show. That's just what you sign up for, I guess. Some really impressive whip numbers out of this pen. 0.76 for Horner, 0.65 for Doolittle, 0.95 for Hubble. Oh, he's a starter. Oh, crap, he's a starter. Wow. Very impressive spring results for the Los Angeles Angels, except for that Shohei Ohtani guy, who has been really, really rocky all spring. Do we have any blown save concerns here? No. Okay, back to the bullpen guys. Alrighty, we got two more teams to get through here. Let's start with the pitchers for the Oakland Athletics. Bill Foster collecting 5 losses on his 23 innings. Phil Niekro only collected 1 loss, though he did get touched up from time to time, though he kept his spring ERA at 3.52 and whip at 1.08. This is a bit of a roller coaster pitcher here. He struck out 34 and walked 5. Maybe I just didn't see his good starts and only saw the couple blow-ups he had, because that's really respectable. Jose Leclerc almost walked as many as he struck out, which was almost as many as innings he pitched, and yet he had a 2.33 ERA. However you get it done. Brett Saberhagen with a 6.19 ERA, Liam Hendriks 6.75. Maybe some worrisome signs. As I was speaking with the Angels GM, it's really going to come down to how Vida Blue responds to being put in the ace role. How this rotation is really gonna end up shaking out. Two blown saves from Alvarado. Only 1 from Flaherty. You'd imagine he would have blown even more than that with how much we've seen him getting rocked. Troy Percival only threw 11 innings, but he's been a real sign of strength for this bullpen. Vida Blue will betray Silver. I love it. Troy Percival struck out 13 and only walked 2 in his 11 innings, so you hope to see him getting some more time. I believe he's in the setup role right now, which is probably why he did not see much work during the spring. He's only going to come in when you're leading in the 8th, and that isn't always when you need your best guy. It's so odd how this game makes you strategize for pitching. And the position players for the Athletics, sorted by at-bats, they played far fewer games than a bunch of teams, apparently. 84 at-bats was their leader, Honus Wagner. Stan Musial got 6 home runs. Jeff Bagwell also bopped 6 bombs in 67 at-bats. 7 steals for Cool Papa Bell. That's fun. I think that's the highest total we've seen. Maybe Murph had one more. I can't remember. He either had 6 or 8. Here's the rate stats for the Athletics. Matt Chapman only hitting 217s, trying to stay in this starting rotation. Paul Molitor hitting 338 now that he's got his leadoff role back. Cool Papa Bell is only hitting 205, but he's on base at a 333 clip. So that is interesting. He did walk 14 times to his 12 strikeouts. Campanella, 15 walks to his 15 strikeouts. And a look at the bench guys for Oakland. Reggie Jackson bopped 3 home runs. Sorry, I kind of flew over that 1 second. I'll go back and give you another couple seconds on this one. Tony Phillips, a 19 at-bat, 1,200 OPS spring. Bagwell did OPS over 1,000 in a actual statistical sample. Alrighty, and our final team for this AL stream before I take it down and bring it immediately back up with the National League is the Mariners. A few guys getting in the high 90s of at-bats, so they didn't play as many games as some teams. 7 home runs for Rendon, 6 for Sandberg, 7 also for Edgar, Griffey, and Helton, 9 for Billy Williams. Go get it. 3 steals for Griffey there. Edgar had a 337 average, Helton hit 377, Billy Williams hit 427. His OPS 1389, which is even outpacing Mookie Betts, I think. 4 guys on this team with OPSs over 1,000. And Griffey got his over 900 by the end of the spring. Todd Helton walking 16 times to his 10 Ks. Very encouraging peripheral. And there's that Acuna. 4 walks, 33 strikeouts. Yikes. And the bench guys for Seattle. Griffey Sr. did not end up having a better spring than Griffey Jr., thank goodness. Eugenio Suarez only sent 1 ball over the wall, though he did hit 361 in his 36 at-bats. I hope you guys can hear my adorable dog snoring in the background because he is absolutely sawing logs right now. We got up early because there's a bird who thinks it can get some bugs out of the vent cap, the metal vent cap above our master bathroom. So every once in a while in the early morning he just comes and woodpeckers his beak against it and just rattles the whole neighborhood. I hate that bird. Here is the pitching staff for the Mariners. Mathewson and Pedro getting the bulk of the work in the spring, and neither of them really showing up. Dwight Doc Gooden finishing with a 6.66 ERA, foreboding, if nothing else. Pedro did have a 1.17 whip, which is encouraging. And we saw some dominant starts from Christy Mathewson, I'm pretty sure. He did strike out 33 in 31 innings, but walked 21. His walks per 9 stat is 98, so I don't see that keeping going. That's a really weird anomaly. Spring hero Byung-Hyun Kim in the running for spring MVP here. And on finishing up with the bullpen for the Mariners. Lee Smith, great performance out of the bullpen. Willie Hernandez, a 1.13 whip is encouraging, whether or not the ERA agrees. Alrighty, that's that. I'm going to take this stream down and come right back up with the NL edition. I'll be right back.